What's good? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, all that good stuff. So let's get into this one. So over in Japan, we had this on Boxing Day morning for us over here in the UK. I think it was about 11 o'clock or maybe earlier that it started. But we got the pleasure to witness once again the monster, Naoya Inoue versus Marlon Tapales. This was a undisputed fight, super bantam, and once again, fantastic display by Inoue. Tapales was a game guy. He did come in there to win. He was very sort of defensive, working behind a high guard. He didn't really do all that much to Tapales, especially in the beginning of the fight. He was quite sort of conserving his energy. He was coming forward. He was throwing the occasional shot, but he was more so keeping his defensives up. He was this peekaboo high guard all the way through. I want to say at least through the first half. And I think Inoue was winning the rounds. Um, Inoue kind of had to punch through the guard of Tapales, especially in the early going. And it was, even I've seen him loads of times, but yeah, it was really impressive to see that power. The fact that even when he's hitting the gloves, you can just see the shift. You could just see like Tapales like shifting back, and Tapales, I mean, for the weight, he's not a small guy. He's a teak, tough, quite compact, strong guy. But for me, Inoue was mainly having his way in those first 6 rounds, cleverly punching through the guard and then coming with the hooks around the guard. And as always with Inoue, good variety of punches, and he likes the guys that sort of come forward, and that's kind of what Tapadas was doing, coming forward. But although it was blocking a lot of shots, Inoue was always able to sort of hook around the guard, lefts and rights, and come straight through the middle. He was, for me, he was impressive in those rounds, and for me, he kind of swept through that first half of the fight. Because he was just the man that was throwing the punches, landing the punches. Tapales was blocking, but for me, it was not enough offensively sort of coming back from Tapales. I don't know, maybe his idea might have been to go forward. I know the body work was part of their plan, and that came into play a little bit later because Tapales did go downstairs quite well. But the problem for me was, especially in the first half, he was just taking too many punches, and he was just Tapales was sort of right there in front of Inoue. So even when he done some decent work in little spurts, the problem was that he would do work. Tapales would do work. He would land his punch, but then he'd be right there in front of Inoue, and Inoue is quick and he's powerful. So what would that? Yeah, you have your little success, but then it's back to Inoue. You're right there, and then Inoue is landing his counters and his combinations. And for me, it was just the volume of Inoue, the power in that first half was too much to where, yes, Tapales done his work, but what he would need to do, sort of thing, is he would need to somehow, when he landed his shots, try to sort of get his right foot on the outside of Inoue's left, and try to sort of pivot round the side or something of that nature, where you step back out of punching range, so that Inoue's got to reset himself. But because he didn't do things like that, like there's especially early, they didn't really do the pivot. He was just kind of right there in front of Inoue. That allowed Inoue to tee off and land what he needed to land. So that sort of became the story of the first half. Now, when we went into round 7, that's where Tapales sort of, got into a bit more of a groove, I would say. Around that time is where I noticed he got into a bit of a groove. He kind of changed the levels. He dropped his right hand a little bit and was doing the up jab right in. He was holding the right hand there and just bang, just straight. And he was landing it with good success. He had very good success with that sort of late in the fight. He sort of changed it up a little bit. He went to into his body. And, for me, that jab was very powerful, very good, effective weapon by Tapales. And yeah, he done very well, especially around that seventh, eighth round, because it was just making Inoue have to think a little bit, have to adjust. Whereas before that in the fight, he was right there in front, and with at that point, those points Inoue was able to land easily. Um, but with that sort of middle part, seventh, eighth round, Tapales changed it up a little bit, using the up jab very well and whatnot, and scoring points, and it went quite well to the body. But then, as the rounds wore on, then Inouye sort of adjusted to that and took over once again. And Inouye began to sort of 3D land his combinations. He adjusted to that whole thing, and he made the adjustment of throwing like a double right hand. That was a good little adjustment he made, and he did get caught a few times in Inouye, but he's one of those guys that not only an exceptional boxer and great power, but he's got a great chin as well. So he did eat some shots, and that's probably the only the criticism you can have of him, that maybe he took too many shots or whatever. But it's one of those things where he was determined to get his offense off. He's determined to land his punches. So because he knows he can handle the power, he's willing to take that risk and take those shots. So yeah. Anyway, so as the fight wears on, you get to round 9, and the Inouye sort of begins to take over again, landing those crispy combinations, beautiful right hands, and then the fact that he's doubling up the right hand kind of took Tapales out of his element. He was also, I forgot to mention, able to drop Tapales. I think it was in the 4th round as well. That's another story. And proceedings end in the 10th round, where Inoue once again it's like he's one of them guys that he's just punches through the target, just 1, 2, bang bang, straight through the target, and it almost looked like a bit of a delayed reaction from Tapales, and you could just see that brute force, left and right, jab, right cross, straight through, bam bam. And that was it. That was all she wrote. Tapales, looked a bit shocked, and he was just on that ground, and he just couldn't. I don't want to say he quit, but he just looked completely out of it. Could not make that 10 count, and it was only even when I think he got up the count of just after it went to 10. So yeah, brutal performance by Inoue. Again, he just punches through guys. And it's very impressive, because this guy now is, bantamweight undisputed and super bantamweight undisputed, and he's done this achievement. He's become undisputed champion in 2 weight divisions within just over a year, and I think it's about what? It's about a year and a week or something like that. So yeah, you've got to applaud this guy anyway, because it's something that's unheard of. It's not the done thing, for a guy to go from becoming a champion to becoming undisputed champion in 1 weight division, undisputed to beat Fulton, and you come into this fight, and all within a space of just over a year, this guy is now undisputed in 2 weight divisions. This is not heard of in the 4-belt era. I mean, we know there's some undisputed. We know there's Terence Crawford out there. Canelo Alvarez has done it too. But for you to be able to do it in 2 weight divisions in under a year, or sorry, just over a year, yeah, that's another level of achievement. And these guys that he's been beating, they're not tomato cans. They're not just the average Joe. These are champions. These are good fighters. But he's just, is just that good. The punching power's there, and the boxing skills and everything is superb. So it's that he's that good, rather than these guys are lesser than. So yeah, very, very impressive. And it's a historical performance by Naoya Inoue, and it's a historical achievement, because you got to think 4 belts, to get all those 4 belts, and to get them all together, and then to do that again in another weight division, fantastic. And you've got to think to yourself, as others have mentioned, even fighters I do hold in very high regard. I hold Floyd Mayweather in high regard, but even guys like Mayweather, they, fantastic, great, all-time greats. But he was never undisputed champion. That was never his thing But Inoue's done it, so that does put him in the conversation to be, one of the pound for pound best. Maybe one, maybe two. I don't know, but he's really, really up there. So, congratulations to Naoya Inoue on a fantastic victory. Two-way undisputed world champion in just over a year. Unbelievable achievement. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out.